Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, across the country, around the world. Welcome back to Planet Coaster WestCOT. We can see here our anti-gravity ride, our test track emulation. I really need to add a sign to that. Whoa, and time-lapse start. I just start off with adding a few little Q pluses just to give it something besides just a boring plain old Q. I just wanted to use some of the sci-fi things that are kind of, you know, maintenance looking, kind of, sort of. I got the robotic arm, we got that guy, and then I was searching for, like, oh, fuel pod, yeah! So we put the fuel pod in, it looks like that arm's kind of activating it, sure! And then it looks like this Mr. Robot dude is kind of working on it, too, as well. A few fuel pods, bio canisters, just kind of sci-fi, not, like, overly in-your-face sci-fi, but a little bit sci-fi. I mean, this is a quote, anti-gravity ride, so, yeah, sci-fi is kind of fitting. And then just a few lights out here on the front to highlight the building. Like I said, I need to add a sign to that. I keep forgetting. Oh yeah, one light here to kind of light the straightaway there. I think that's all we do there, though, and then we jump into here. So as I've playing the game lately, for the last few hours actually, I've gotten lots of things saying, "Guest, you're hungry." So we're gonna duplicate those buildings. There you can see the layout there is just about the same. So we're duplicating these buildings. But instead of all those drink things, we're going to put food stands in to give them all food because people are getting hungry. And I'm tired of the game, you know, yelling at me saying, people are hungry, feed them. So we drop in, I don't remember, I think this is Chief Beef and Hot Dog Squad here. And on the back side, gosh, I can't remember. We'll see when I put the things on, the signs and whatnot. So that is, yeah, that's a Chief Beef and a Hot Dog Squad. These two buildings, well, these end up being 4 buildings. They all are pretty much the same thing, the same layout. But in Epcot in Florida, a lot of the buildings are very similar. They have a similar layout, at least in terms of that core section there. Oh yeah, Cosmic Cow milkshakes, and more gulpy, more drinks on this backside. Anywho, in Epcot in Florida, there's a lot of repetition. A lot of the buildings are very similar to each other. So I did the same thing here. There's a restaurant on one side, there's the Starbucks on the other side, there's stores, there's character meet and greets, there's things like that. We obviously don't have that much that we can do. We don't have characters, we don't have really big stores. I guess I could put some stores in there. I don't really have any stores yet, do I? Maybe I will, to somewhere. I'll add some stores at some point. I think I have a Just a Memento at the exit of the space ride. Anyway, they all end up being the same looking thing, and I'm okay with that. Like I said, them looking the same works for me. But here we do the same trick. Line it up, clear out the Street Fox coffees. Those signs did not want to go away. Oh, there we go. And get all the signs. Good. And I think over here we drop in a Mexilente, a Tiki Chiki, a Pizza Pen, and then a something else. I can't remember what I put over here. What did I put there? What was that? Oh, just another Cosmic Cow. Because everybody loves a milkshake, right? Yeah, Mexilente and Tiki Chiki. And trying to find the right signs. The Tiki Chiki signs are kind of hit or miss. Yeah. Excelente. That's why I put the awnings on everything. And then sadly for Pizza Pen, there's not much. And same with Cosmic Cow, there's this thing, which is just kind of huge. Yeah, for some of the later additions to the game, there's sadly not that many real defined signs. They're just kind of a little more genericized. And then, of course, taking care of the vendors. So here we're looking at the overall park, because at this point, we are going to expand into the center. And as you saw from the title at the beginning and the thumbnail and captions and whatnot, we are going to install the Weenie of the park. If any of you are familiar with, I know Silverette? Yes, Silverette has talked about it on his channel. And it is a legitimate Disney term called the Weenie. And I believe it was generated by Walt Disney himself. It is an attractor. It is the big thing that attracts your attention, kind of draws you down the end of the street, you know, like a dog chasing after a wiener. And it attracts you. But it serves a few purposes, partly as an attractor to get you to be attracted in that direction. Also, it's directional. It's a landmark. So wherever you are in Disneyland, you can almost always see the castle or the Matterhorn or Space Mountain or Splash Mountain, Tom Sawyer's Island, all those things are greater and lesser weenies. Not that that's an official thing, but they are all weenies to one degree or another, because they will help you get your bearings. And that's something Walt wanted, because with the castle and the hub and all those things make the park a little easier to navigate. So here, we're going to have a lagoon here with a center island, and our big weenie is going to be on that island. Oh yeah, that path work down there was happening while I was talking. That was kind of a pain. I've done everything. I've done so much of this, almost everything off of one grid or another. Getting to do that be curved was not fun. I wanted it to curve the other way, but this looks okay. It ends up kind of looking like a baseball field, you know, like home plate type of thing. But I'm okay with it. So here we're going to stretch these paths into the center, and they are going to intersect in the middle, and that is going to be where the main weenie is. In Epcot, in Walt Disney World, I think pretty definitively, the main weenie there is Spaceship Earth, the giant spheroid golf ball thing that is there. Here, I think somebody commented, ooh, can't wait to see you do Spaceship Earth, and I think I would have loved to, but a round thing like that would be a bit hard to accomplish. So we go with something else. And you'll see that in just a moment or two after we finish putting the lagoon back in. I used the rough water just to give it a little more character. The still water was kind of boring. I'm trying to smooth out what I could there, but we'll come back to that later. I do want to stop at this moment, well, not stop, but and say thank you, Deoudman, D-E-O-U-D-E, man, who said in a comment, use the smooth tool on your coaster every part, and I did, and it helped a lot. I don't want to do too much of that, or I've been reluctant to do too much of that, because I didn't want it to change things too much, but I smoothed out piece here and there, kind of linking things together. I don't want to collect like a huge stretch and smooth all that, because that just does too much. But it increased the excitement, up to 6.44. I think it reduced the fear, but it definitely reduced the nauseating factor. It went from like a 3.1 to a 2.3 or something like that. And you could see those numbers on the screen earlier. I have gone past them now. Anyway, that was, I finished up this corner a day before I come back to filming of this bit here. Smoothed out the path there a bit because it had a bump to it. Still there a little bit, but it's not too bad. So here, like I said, Spaceship Earth in Epcot is a giant sphere. It's a giant golf ball sphere that's propped up on, I think, 6 pylons plus the attraction building base at the bottom where the Omnimovers go up and then come back into the station down there. Here, I don't go with a spheroid because that's just a bit complicated. We go with, well, it's the ride there that you can see is the cube. I do not build a cube though. I built something else. And I was, whoa, that's a little fast. I was riding the cube there just to get an idea. It's like, is this too big? Is this too small? How does that look? And then I got to this one. I was like, nope, too much. So I shaved this off by 1 tile each. There we go. So that's going to form the center cuboid. It doesn't, I don't close this off into a full cube. I make it to, a partially open cube. Just getting the tops there. No, there we go. Up. 2 more, I think. There we go. Yeah. Let me close this up here. This becomes the midsection of the ride, more or less what houses the ride. It will be housed within a big structure that sticks out and wraps around all of that. And now we get to see a little bit of what that's going to be. So again, not going with a sphere because that's complicated. I'm sure there's a way to do it. I'm sure somebody else has done it. But that's not for me. I'm not that talented. In fact, this was a bit of a struggle. We are going with, or I'm going with, a pyramid, or what I'm terming a split pyramid, a quad split pyramid. I kind of did this, and I kind of envision Stargate. I think in Stargate, didn't he have a pyramid that split, or the spaceship landed on the pyramid and split, something like that. But that's kind of what I see here. This was too big a gap, so I actually go through and delete those pieces there, just so that it's not as huge a chunk in the middle there. Yeah, and that ends up being a lot better. Yes, and it brings the points of the pyramid closer together too. I was trying to find a right color. Ooh, that's green. No. Instead, I go with this brown, which I like. It's kind of an industrial brown, but it's also a little bit, I don't know. It's something, but I like it. I'm gonna go with it. It's what I've gone with. Let me down one more. There we go. So that's the shape of a good chunk of the pyramid. Well, the outline of it, you know. We just fill in all these pieces. Boop, boop, boop. There we go. And you're going to have 4 pieces of this sticking out. But then, of course, it's going to be an actual pyramid. And I debated for a hot minute doing the pyramid flat across those 2 planes. Or the plane from those 2 wall pieces that you see flaring out there. But I thought it would be that... I thought about it for a moment, and then I went, I don't even know how to do that. I don't know how to line anything up. It's one thing if you're building a custom spire, like what Silverette does all the time, because you got, it's a tile or 2 across, maybe 3 tiles across, but then you spin it and it works. This is across, I don't know how many tiles across diagonally. It would be such a chore to get something to line up like that. It would have been beyond me. So I didn't do that. Instead, I used the metallic roof pieces to give myself some bases to go off of. And in the meantime, we put in the floor. But I used those metallic roof pieces to give myself some guidelines. And that's pretty much all I needed for it. I think I ended up copying, there and across. And so here we go with the arch shapes. I haven't really done much with the arch. Oh, well, I did the rockets over there. I did the rockets with the arch shapes. So we use these. And I went with this blue. It's kind of, I don't know what color I'd envisioned. I think more like a turquoisey green is what I initially envisioned in my head. But we end up going with this instead. Unfortunately, none of the triangles line up quite perfectly on that corner. So that corner down there at the bottom becomes a bit of a struggle. And the corner up top here was going to be a bit of a struggle as well. I end up changing my tactic, and instead of having this pointy roof here, because it's all these little pieces are going to look stupid, I was like, okay, that's okay. And then another one, it's not a perfect point. Who's going to notice? I'm going to notice. I will definitely notice, and it'll bug the crap out of me if it's not quite correct. The bottom corners already bug the crap out of me because they are not correct. Yeah, see, there's no good way to close this off and have it be clean because nothing is the exact angle that I want it to be. So I figured, okay, let's try something different. Cut that off. And I like this better because on the top I put lights in the end and they're lit and it's cool. Plus, there aren't many pyramids, out in the world that I know of that are really a straight point. They all flare out or they all flatten out at the top, at least a bit. So that makes life just a smidgen easier. And I thought I could copy paste these, but they don't really do that. So we're resulted to? Well, we resort to trying something that didn't work. To laying these up. And it works out pretty well because it kind of does a tiered thing where it's kind of like bricks, kind of like tiles, which I like the way it works. I like the way it looks when you can see the seams. Okay, good. It looks, to me, it looks kind of, pyramid-ish. And I'm not sure what the story behind this is, whether it's a alien pyramid or a future pyramid or what. I just thought a pyramid would look cool and be more achievable than a sphere like Spaceship Earth. Plus, in a lot of the concept art for WestCOT, there were a lot of pyramids. I initially wanted to put some pyramids on, what's it called? On, what is that ride? Chronoventure, like up on the roof. But I didn't realize that building would be so tall. So I didn't. And I tried to copy and rotate that and line it up, but because the angle of those roofs don't line up to any of the fixed angles, and the way the whole thing rotates, it doesn't rotate around any piece that makes any logical sense to me. It rotates around some, I don't know where it rotates. It rotates somewhere below it, which is just odd. I'm not sure. I wish there was a way you could make it to say like, this is the root piece, like in Kerbal. This is the root piece. Rotate around this. But you can't. So I was resorted to? I had to resort to doing it from here and just basically doing the same thing. Once I figured it out once, not that hard to do it again and kind of figure it out. I also got this bottom section to be a little bit cleaner. Again, not perfect, but a little bit cleaner. With another piece, there we go, that, and then that square piece to clean it up-ish. Yeah, so it's better. And then I just end up tiling that up and up and up and up and up, and you just saw that, so I cut part of that out because who needs to see that? So there's a completed, quarter of the thing, quarter of the pyramid, just cleaning up those inner pieces because who needs those? There is a gap. It's a reasonable gap. You can see right there. You can see sky through it. So I take the concrete pillars. I didn't know what I was going to grab, but these were like the first things. I'm like, oh, 4 meters? Concrete. Yeah. And I think it's a nice juxtaposition between the concrete and the metallic tiles. It blends and complements each other, etc., etc. I think it looks pretty good. It veered in just a little bit, so I popped it up and popped it over. And at that point, it was lined up really nice, and I was happy with it. I was done. Wasn't going to play with it. And here we are going to attach the pyramid, the quarter of the pyramid, to the center structure. And at this point, I realized, wow, this is going to be pretty big. This is going to have a really big footprint. But that right there, that's the basis shape for the giant weenie. And then we are with the cube inside, and I think it's a really cool view from inside. Next thing we work on, we do the queue. At Spaceship Earth at Walt Disney World, like I said, it rests on 6 pylons, and then there's the ride inside is an omnimover, which is one that never stops. It's continuous belt feeding type of thing on a moving walkway, like an escalator style walkway, like the Haunted Mansion or Little Mermaid ride, etc., etc. And there, though, the ride vehicles actually come down to ground level on, a down ramp, and then at the station, it kind of does a S-bend where it unloads, swoops back, and another bend where you load, and then you go up the hill into the attraction. Here, obviously, the attraction is fixed up there, so I didn't really want to do... Well, I didn't know what I was going to do. I kind of did the paths, and I was like, okay, I just want to get it there and working, and it's pretty good. It guess certainly go to it quickly. There you go. You can see them all lining up. And I thought, okay, so this is complicated enough. Let's just get them down to the ground. And I was stopping from thinking, what do I do? Well, I'll clean that up first. And then I decided, okay, let's just start by closing this and boxing it in. Unfortunately, these aren't lined up nicely to a tile, so they're going to have the big openings. But that's okay. We close all this up with the panels, more of the panels of the same color, but supporting this underneath it, we're going to go with I was thinking concrete. Nope, that doesn't work. We go with the metallic panels. Yeah, the metal panels. And that becomes the base. Like I said, Spaceship Earth rests on those 6 pylons, and that's all that holds it up. This giant sphere that has a ride that I still don't know how it works. Is held up by those 6 pylons. But here I thought, okay, let's just make it like one giant metal thing that supports it from the bottom, from the middle up. There we go. Yeah, I redid that, or did that poorly. There it is. So it's going to be just that. That's what's going to support the thing. The rest is going to be kind of hovering out there and hanging out really wide. And the game does not care to do stuff looking up. And at this point, I was like, okay, nope, let's keep this inside. So we move it there. So now it's all contained inside the cuboid base piece here. And that's kind of how I handle the queue. Nice and simple, nothing crazy. We separate some things, wall some things off, and basically that path that you see, the main path there, is the opening through the cuboid at the base. Cube? Through the base structure. And that's what we end up going with. I also throw in some, what's it called? First aid, restrooms, and some water, because, they might want first aid because the ride's a little crazy up there. Might get nauseous. Also, water is always good. You can always use water. And then we go separate those queues. And then once they come in here, I want that to be like totally open and exposed. That way you're not like in corridors or anything anymore. Yeah, and that's a cool looking view once you're in there. I think here we go. Yeah, first aid, restrooms, pip shot water, fix up all the vendors, train everybody that I can. I got to go back and do some more of that too after I record this voiceover and work on stuff. I got to remember that. And then, yeah, just close those up with archways and things. Pip shot water sign. I think I add a couple of, yeah, those things and tilty so that it's like drink from this. I think I put the pip shot water awning. Yeah. Like I said, some of these things don't have great signs yet. And then I think that's walled in enough. Oh yeah, I had all the textures. No, the concrete texture is what goes in underneath that. And that's a pretty big weenie that you can see from just about everywhere. Last thing I do is some nighttime, some lighting. That's cool. So I wanted to give this a bit of the Luxor treatment. If you've been to Las Vegas and seen the Luxor, it has lights that chase up and down the four outer angles like this. And I'm looking back, maybe I could use the fairy lights or some of the lights like that and make them all white. But I wanted to play with the lasers, and I kind of like the lasers. I like this look. I thought I was going to try to box it inside something like, oh, it's just the thingy, it's all exposed, the projector, no. But I ended up saying, no, you know what? Nobody's going to get that close to it, and it's going to be a piece there that has to be there to do that. So I just left it as the exposed piece, and then I put a light on top, and I use that blue, and I use that blue for everything inside here. It's kind of fun. And we just copy paste and drop it into those spots. Because I aligned it with that floor tile or roof tile, it's nice and square and lines up correctly. And then we used, yeah, see the blue lights enter there. It looks kind of like a funny mouth. Nope, that's too low. How high are you? 3 up. 1, 2, 3 up. 1, 2, 3 up. I don't think I'm going to have any entrances on the other sides, but we are going to have paths that either circle around or do a square / diamond around the structure. Because from here, we are going to branch out into the World Showcase and the different countries. You have to go through this center island, I think, is how I'm going to do it, to get to the World Showcase features. I might do it that way. That way it might force some people to use the monorail once that's completed. Anyway, I think that's about it for this. I'm pretty happy with that. I'm going to work on it a little more, maybe do some uplighting and other things like that. But it's a pretty big weenie that you can see from many, many places in the park. Yeah. Anyway, that's it for this episode. Thanks for hanging out. If you like, hit subscribe. Tell your friends, tell your neighbors, pass the word. I will catch you later.